In this video, I want to go over 3 tips that you can use to be able to better understand as well as avoid mistakes with graphing logarithms. I'll also have a bonus tip for you at the end of this video. So when I'm teaching graphing logarithms, there was a lot of mistakes that students would make, as well as just a lack of understanding for graphing logarithms. So that's why I came up with these tips, and that's why I want to share them with you for this video. So let's go into the first tip, which is really just going to be understanding what the parent graph is of the logarithms as well as its parts. So when we're like understanding graphing logarithms, and at this point in the game, you're a lot of times you already understand all these other different functions, and it's really easy to kind of mix up what the graph of a logarithm is going to look like as well as its parts. This is a really bad graph of a logarithm. Let's go ahead and maybe see if I can redo that. But there's going to be a couple important characteristics that we need to know. The first one is going to be there is a x-intercept at at 1, 0, and there's also going to be a vertical asymptote at x equals 0. So a lot of students will forget about these coordinate points, but as we'll get into in these later tips, these are crucially important. Now, the tip that's also really helpful about not just knowing what the parent graph is, like I could define this as y equals log of x, but ladies and gentlemen, the shape of the graph is going to vary very slightly, but this shape of the graph is going to be the exact same if I have the natural logarithm, or if I have a logarithm with, let's say, base 7 of x. It doesn't really matter what the base is. The shape of this graph, which we call the parent graph, is going to remain the same. The characteristics of the parent graph, regardless of what the base is still going to have a vertical asymptote. Let's write that in there. Vertical asymptote at x equals 0, and it's going to have an x coordinate at 1, 0. So make sure you have this understood. Make sure you have this memorized. So therefore, when you are confronted with a logarithm that you need to graph, you can easily go ahead and recall this, because this is going to be the first thing you're definitely going to want to make sure you know. Now, the next thing, the reason why this stuff is so important is when students have to graph a logarithm, right? That's the purpose of this video, is to graph a logarithm. Use this information. We want to use this point 1, 0 as well as our vertical asymptote to apply the transformations to whatever we get. So for instance, if I had like log of, I don't know, x minus 1 plus 1, right? And I wanted to graph this. What I'm going to simply do is I'm going to take my parent graph and I'm just going to create a general shape of this graph. And then all I simply need to do is understand what are my transformations. And rather trying to identify all the certain points that are on that graph, I'm just going to focus on moving this one point, right? Because this is the one point I know for my parent graph, and I can now just apply the transformations. Now, I'm doing some simple transformations, and my bonus tip will get into what we're going to want to do for some of those more advanced transformations. But for in this example, all I'm simply going to do is recognize that x minus 1 is shifting my graph 1 unit to the right, and this plus 1 is shifting my graph 1 unit up. So all I'm simply going to do, if I want to redraw this graph, is I'm going to take my point 1, 0, I'm going to move it 1 point to the right, and then I'm going to move it 1 point up. So let's just say those are my tick marks. Now, the other important thing that a lot of students will make mistakes on is they will forget the vertical asymptote. Whenever we have a horizontal transformation, we also have to apply that. So therefore, that is going to be shifted 1 unit to the right as well. And then I can just go through my x-intercept point that I originally had right here. And now I can go ahead and draw the shape of the graph. Now, the important thing, let's go and get into the third tip, which is going to be really understanding our domain of this function. So when you look at the parent graph of a logarithmic function, there's something important to understand about these transformations. All right. And then I kind of went over it rather quickly in the last tip. But the important thing that I want you to remember is whenever we have transformations that are inside the function, that's going to be horizontal. That is going to impact our domain. Why? Well, if you look at it, our domain is restricted for a logarithm, right? It's for only positive numbers. It's from 0 to infinity. There's no part of this graph that's in the negative version or negative values of x, right? It's for only x positive values. Now, the range is not defined, right? Or not restricted. It goes down to negative infinity up to positive infinity. That's the set of all y values. The domain, though, is restricted. So here's some things that I want you to remember. Whenever we have transformations that are vertically shifting our graph or reflecting our graph or stretching or compressing, those are going to be your transformations that are outside your function. And, let's go through this. Like if I was going to write down the log base of b times x minus c plus D, okay? The important thing I want you to understand is A and D are what we call our vertical transformations, right? D shifts the graph up or down, A reflects it up or down, or it stretches and compresses. Those do not impact my domain. So many times I see students when we're graphing or need to understand something about the graph, they impact the domain or impact that what that graph is going to be with the vertical transformations. That's not going to do it, right? The only thing that's going to impact our domain is when we're talking about horizontal transformations. So it's not directly going to like graphing, but the tip that I want you to focus on is a lot of times when we're talking about the graphs of a logarithm, or when we're talking about the parts of that, like such as the domain, understand the only transformations that are going to impact that domain are going to be your horizontal transformations. That is going to be your B, which is your horizontal reflection or your horizontal stretch and compression, and your C, which is going to be your horizontal shift, left or right. So just remember, horizontal is going to impact the domain, or could impact, it always will impact the domain, but my verticals are not going to impact the domain. So let's get through the bonus tip. And here's the tip that I want students to remember, because when students a lot of times get to logarithms, especially maybe they have a teacher that's like, hey, that's great that you know how to graph it using 1 point, but I want you to show another point, right? I want you to be able to identify 2 points or 3 points that are on the graph. So a lot of students, this is where they get mixed up. They're like, I don't know how to do that. So it's very important just to remember this simple rule, okay? Always go back to the basics with logarithms. And I understand logarithms sometimes can be confusing for students to understand. So the way that I always like to remember logarithms is just through this simple definition. If I have the log base 2 of 8, that is going to equal to 3. I have this memorized. And the reason why I have this memorized is because I know I can remember log, this is in what we call logarithmic form, and I can easily write that to exponential form as going to be 2 cubed is equal to 8. Now, why would this be important? Why would I need to use this for graphing logarithms? Well, let's go back over to this equation. I'm not going to use base 10, but let's say I had base 2, right? And I have log base 2 of x minus 1. And what was that? Plus 1? Plus 1. Let's say your teacher was like, hey, I want you to provide another point that is on that graph. All right. Now, the important thing when we're looking at this logarithm, you can see from exponential form, 2 cubed is equal to 8. So what I want to have is when I base my logarithm, I want to make sure the argument of that logarithm is a power to that base. So let's say we already know this 1 point that occurs over here, right? That point was what, at 2, 1, right? Because that was based on our transformations. But what if we wanted to be able to find another point, right? I could think about this and say, all right, well, what value should I use on my table of values to plug that in? Now, I know that 2 raised to the 3rd power is going to equal 8. So what value would x have to be if I wanted to get 8? Now, again, you could just write an equation. You could say x minus 1 is equal to 8. I know I want my argument to be 8. And it doesn't matter. If it was like 10, you know you'd want to get 100. If it was 7, you know you want to get 49, right? Just think of all those bases or that powers that you can raise your base to be able to get the argument you want. Then set your argument equal to that power you want. So in this case, I want my argument to be 8. So I take whatever's inside my argument of my logarithm, x minus 1 is equal to 8. And I'm doing a basic example so you can kind of see how I like to approach this even for more difficult ones. And then I can just simply solve and I get x is now equal to 9. Now, why this is important? Well, because now I can create a table of values and I could say, all right, here's my x and my y term. So let's let x equal to 9. Now let's figure out what that would be. If I plug 9 in for x, 9 minus 1 is 8. I know 2 log base 2 of 8 is going to give me a 3, and then 3 plus 1 is going to give me a 4. So now I can find the second point over here. I'm sorry, 3, that's going to give me a 4, right? So when x equals 9, I'm now going to get 4. So now I can find this second point of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then I know that is going to be at 4. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4. And boom. And now you can see that this graph, I can now have 2 points that's going to go through that point as well as that point. So I always like to remind students just to break things down to the most basic things. You need to understand the fundamentals. And that's what these tips are around. Understanding the fundamentals of your parent graph, understanding the fundamentals of transformations, understanding the fundamentals of domain and how transformations impact that domain, as well as understanding the fundamentals for the definition of a logarithm. And ladies and gentlemen, if you have those done and defined and understood, you're going to be just okay with graphing logarithms. Now, I didn't go over many examples in this video, but if you want to check out a video of where I go over more examples or just more understanding of logarithms or more tips, then check out the next video I have for you here.